Welcome to Meet Me at the Movies. I'd like to say bonjour to all of my friends, all of my family, and then people I don't even know. Hello, konnichiwa. Thomas Manning joining us right here on Meet Me at the Movies. We're happy to have Thomas on the show. And Thomas is like one of these guys on a sitcom. He's a recurring character now. Used to he was a regular, but he's gone off to bigger and better things and doesn't have quite as much time to invest with us anymore right here on Meet Me at the Movies. But we will always invite him back when he's got some good stuff to say. And we've got some good stuff to talk about today, Thomas. Some movie reviews as well as some interviews coming up. But Thomas, first let's dive into this film that I've been looking forward to for quite a while. Ever since I saw the trailer, a film called The Fall Guy, and there are some connections to entertainment past, which we'll talk about as well.
Yeah, I think we had some non-viewer mail about this, asking if this film, The Fall Guy, directed by David Leitch, if there was any connection to the television series from back in the 80s starring Lee Majors. So, Noel, I'll let you take that one. Is there any sort of correlation there at all?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The original series, The Fall Guy, it ran on ABC in the 80s. You mentioned it, from 81 to 86. So it had a 5-year span, but it was a very popular series at the time. Lee Majors, who had just finished up a couple years prior a run as the $6 Million Man, was coming on this series as Colt Severs was his name. He was a former Hollywood stuntman who actually a not just a former Hollywood stuntman, he was a Hollywood stuntman who was moonlighting as a bounty hunter. And so, he would go out there and hunt down criminals. And it was a show that was action, it was adventure, but there was comedy thrown in as well. And I just remember truly enjoying it. And Lee Majors did not take himself too seriously. He had a lot of fun with this particular role on television. And there were always a lot of guest stars that would pop up, a lot of cameos that would pop up on this series. And it was created by Glenn Larson. And Glenn Larson, Thomas, is also the producer for the movie that we're going to be talking about as well. So if you haven't seen the original TV series, go check it out. Track it down. It's well worth your time. It's a heck of a lot of fun. And Thomas is going to tell us about this movie, The Fall Guy, with some faces that you will definitely know.
Yeah, so it does star Ryan Gosling in the lead role as the Colt Severs character, and it's directed by David Leitch, as I mentioned, who is himself a former Hollywood stuntman, longtime stuntman and coordinator who worked on that side of things for a couple decades, and then within the past decade, he's taken his career behind the camera. He co-directed the first John Wick film along with Chad Stahelski. And Leitch has also directed Atomic Blonde with Charlize Theron, Deadpool 2, Hobbs and Shaw, Bullet Train. So all of those are films that have, watching those and knowing Leitch's background, you can see, okay, a stunt person definitely directed this. And The Fall Guy takes that to the extreme. This is definitely Leitch's most personal film. And but I think what makes The Fall Guy so successful as a movie is it focuses on this romantic comedy aspect between the characters that played by Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt, just as much as it focuses on these action set pieces and these stunt sequences, which are all very lovingly crafted, coming from just absolute professionals at the top of their game. But it's just that perfect balance between sincerity and, just heartfelt, relatable character moments, and then just spectacle. So that's there's a lot that we can get into further there. But and Noel, if you want to dive in a little bit, talking about the general story, the general plot that kind of sets up where these characters are.
Well, you've got a stuntman who has got some history with the director, romantic history, I guess, with the director, and there is a star that ends up missing. And I think that Ryan Gosling's character, Colt Severs, is called upon to track the star down. Correct? Is that where we're headed with this?
That's it. That's it. Yeah. So
All
the
right.
star that goes missing is he's an actor named Tom Ryder, who's played by Aaron Taylor Johnson. Tom Ryder is kind of a combination of Matthew McConaughey, Tom Cruise, and Brad Pitt, all rolled into one, but not exactly the best parts of all those people. But some parts of those people that you can make a bit of a satirical figure out of. And at where we find Gosling, at the beginning of the movie, he is in the basically having the time of his life, and then there's a sudden incident that basically breaks him physically and mentally and professionally. And then we fast forward 18 months later, he's been out of the game. He's lost his relationship. He's lost his love. He's lost his job. And he's just kind of just a broken man in a lot of different ways. And but then this opportunity comes. Hey, he might find a way to get the girl back, get his job back, become a real life action hero. So that's really the central, or multiple central conflicts that are all connected there. And that's another thing I love about it is that the conflict of getting the girl and the conflict of making this movie which serves her career, and also this the conflict of simply trying to stay alive in the midst of all this. Those are all intrinsically connected, but he has to solve them all individually. And sometimes solving problems in one area leads to the development of more problems in another area. And it's just a very terrific storytelling formula to watch Ryan Gosling's character juggle all of this. And when you get someone as just charismatic as Ryan Gosling in a role like that, there's you're set up for success.
Well, it's a film, as I mentioned, I was excited about when I saw the trailer. I remember the original series and remember how much fun that was. And just from the trailer itself, I realized that the pairing with the two leads was going to be solid. The chemistry, if the only chemistry I saw was what was on the trailers, to me that would have been enough because I just felt it was there, and also just Ryan just has had a way of just having a blast with roles similar to this, action roles where he gets a chance to show a little bit of his comic chops, and so I knew it was going to be something that I was going to be drawn to without a doubt, and
Yeah.
and and also my bride as well. I wanted to take Beth to see this for an early screening, but she's a teacher, and it's been kind of this testing week going on. So I decided I was going to hold off and wait and go see this with her for the first time, and I think she appreciated that as well.
Yeah, I think it'll be worth the wait for you whenever you do see it. There's one particular scene that I want to dive into as a sequence that perfectly illustrates everything that works about the Fall Guy, and it's a moment that involves a karaoke. So Emily Blunt's character is singing Phil Collins' song "Take a Look at Me Now," and it's a very pivotal juncture where we think that Gosling is about to win her back. But right when he's about to get there, everything in this other situation with the missing actor kind of blows up. And there's this really massive set piece that you've seen in the trailers where Gosling he's basically water skiing across a highway, except there's no water. It's just asphalt. He's skiing across on the back of like a truck bed, and there's sparks flying everywhere. And
That's what I do on
yeah,
Tuesday mornings.
yeah, that's
That's
how
a
you get
Tuesday
the.
morning.
That's just your Tuesday morning commute, I believe. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
So that's how I get to the Arts Council as well, and that's how you get to Gardner Webb. So, but in this moment as the audience, we with his character's life literally hanging in the balance, we care just as much about whether or not he survives as we do about his relationship with Emily Blunt. We're worried
Wow.
about him, trying to patch things up with her, and we're like, well, if he survives this but doesn't patch things up with her, then well, we're still gonna have this void in our hearts. So basically, I think the love story is just as adrenaline fueled as the action. That's
Awesome.
kind of the best way that I can put it.
So this is one of those films, Thomas, that would appeal when you're talking about quadrant films that appeal films that appeal to different ages, different races, different genders as well. And so this one really seems to be one of those that could cross over. So maybe a perfect date night film is what it's sounding like.
It absolutely is that, and it's really a perfect movie for movie lovers, and even people who just casually love movies. This film hits that sweet spot. It's obviously extremely meta.
Right?
It's a movie. It's a movie about making movies, and
Yeah.
there's tons of references that general audiences are going to get, but also there's some inside baseball stuff for hardcore movie buffs like us. But it's never at the expense of one group or the other. You're not gonna feel truly left out if you don't get every single reference, because there's something for you no matter what your movie knowledge level is. And I will say there's a direct reference to a certain Michael Mann film that you may or may not have worked on back in the '90s, and it's a very direct reference. And I it was all I could do not to just cheer and clap and just give a standing ovation at that moment. I was watching it, and
Man.
yeah. So I'm very very excited to see your reaction to that whenever you get a chance to watch it.
Awesome, awesome. Well, before we go to the rating, I do want to correct myself. I did get a text earlier in the show. I said that Glenn Larson was the producer for this. Glenn Larson was the creator. Glenn Larson passed away back in 2014, and so I want to correct myself on that. But he was an amazing creator for TV history, things like Battlestar Galactica, Quincy M.E., Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew Mysteries, Fall Guy, Magnum PI, Knight Rider, just a whole host of series that he brought to the small screen. But he was legendary, and so we've seen some of these have gotten reboots on TV as well, like Magnum PI, and so it's pretty cool to see one of his creations making it on the big screen. And I've wondered for years, Thomas, why this wasn't a show that was brought back in some form or fashion, because it really was such a cool concept of a TV series and a cool story. And so it's nice to see that they found a way to bring this to the big screen. And I think, depending on the success of this, we could possibly see a sequel come out of this. And you think that might be a possibility as well, right?
I hope so. I really do. I know that in the past we've seen Ryan Gosling in films that we hoped would have gotten a sequel, like The Nice Guys, but um, other more family friendly films that were released around the same time kind of pushed that box office out of the way, and that's the reason we haven't gotten a sequel to The Nice Guys, and probably won't. I hope we don't have a similar issue with the Fall Guy, because I think this deserves. I really think it deserves a franchise, and I'll keep coming back for this one as many as they make. And if this is the only one we get, then I will keep watching this one over and over as well. So
Awesome. Final thoughts about this. This did premiere at South by Southwest back in March. And also, the Guinness Book of World Records awarded this film because there were the most cannon rolls ever performed by a car. And so this has got the Guinness Book of World Records attached to it as well. So that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome.
yeah, it's 8.5 rolls, I believe, which
Wow.
that's like me on Thanksgiving, 8.5 rolls.
That's awesome. Thanksgiving, man,
Yeah,
that's like a Tuesday night for you. A Tuesday
yeah, it's
morning and
true.
then Tuesday night. That's Tuesday night. Well, Thomas, final thoughts or comments before you weigh in with your rating?
Oh, so I will give a quick shout out to screenwriter Drew Pierce on this film. He's been attached to a lot of projects that you and I have loved over the years. Um, Iron Man 3, he did Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. He wrote and directed Hotel Artemis,
Yeah,
an underrated action thriller that we both love. And he did excellent work on this.
yeah,
And
awesome.
a lot of what I described is thanks to what he gave to these characters and kind of translating, the pre-existing characters and translating it into, the filter that we see them through here.
Awesome.
But yeah,
Awesome.
I very, very pleased with the Fall Guy, and has a Taylor Swift needle drop, like as if I needed anything more to praise it about. But yeah, it's a perfect start to the summer blockbuster season, and I'm gonna give it a really solid A minus. And
Wow.
yeah, I'll be watching it many more times.
Awesome. A minus for The Fall Guy. You can find that in theaters, and we're inviting you to stick around. We're going to take a quick intermission, and I'll be back. We're going to have a costume change. I'll be back. We're going to have some interviews after the break. Thomas, thanks for joining us, man. Appreciate your feedback and your thoughts on The Fall Guy. Check that out in theaters now. Stick around. We'll be right back on Meet Me at the Movies.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and
Education is our most powerful tool to improve and change our world. Hi, I'm Rhonda Benfield, your host for School Matters. Join me for a new program every other week with information from and about the students and staff of Cleveland County Schools. Discover what our schools are doing to challenge students and help them reach their full potential. You can catch us on Spectrum Cable Channel 19 or stream us live on c19.tv.
won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch a film?
Hello and welcome back to Meet Me at the Movies. Noel T. Manning II here, and before the break, we talked about the film The Fall Guy with Thomas Manning, extensive dialogue about that, and I was so impressed with his thoughts that I thought during the intermission I would check out Meet Me at the Movies, and so I did. So during this intermission, I got to tell you, here are my quick thoughts on the film The Fall Guy. I think this is the perfect preseason date night kickoff to the summer. Excellent on-screen character chemistry, a really true joyride from the opening to the end credits. There are a plethora of inside nods to Hollywood, from the home screens to the big screens, and plenty of Easter eggs as well for fans of the original TV series, including props, actor cameos, and a reinterpretation of the original theme song. This movie really is a love letter to the stunt workers behind the scenes, and this also feels like one of those big budget action comedies from the 80s with some perfectly executed song choices throughout the film. It's a beautiful blend of action and comedy. The Fall Guy is a film that I will revisit in theaters again. You can guarantee it. So my quick take review of this gives The Fall Guy an A rating. I do appreciate you spending time with us right here on Meet Me at the Movies. And as promised, I've got to tell you there are a few interviews I'd love for you to check out if you have the time to stick around. These filmmakers come from the inspirational family biopic Unsung Hero, in theaters now. Unsung Hero is the story of a family in search of a better life and the struggles they encounter along the way. It's also the story of perseverance and hope and love as a family travels from Australia to Nashville, Tennessee with a song in their hearts. Unsung Hero is a true story, the true story of the Smallbone family and their journey of finding their place in the history of the Christian music industry. I'm Noel T. Manning II for Meet Me at the Movies, an open dialogue, and today we're joined by Rebecca St. James and Kiralee Berger, who plays Rebecca in the film Unsung Hero.
She's a special one, David. Trigger's getting other folks to see it. When she sings and thinks no one's watching, she shines.
Just give it.
Kiralee and Rebecca, hi, I'm Noel Manning from Meet Me at the Movies. Thanks for joining us.
Great to meet you. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. I tell you, the film loved Unsung Hero. I appreciated the story of faith, family, community, and also the beautiful works that God can let loose in our lives. And that really did shine through. And Rebecca, first question goes out to you. I'm sure that there was probably no shortage of emotions witnessing this chapter of your family story come to life on screen. And I'd really love for you to share what you feel was the most significant aspect of this story that you hope audiences will remember when they walk away from this, and why.
It is a really powerful and profound film. I'm very very proud of it. I had my brother directing and starring in it, and my husband was very involved as well. So I felt very safe in just the filming of this film with my story. But it's really a story about our family coming to America in the 90s. There's 7 kids in our family. My dad lost his job soon after we moved here, and we lived by faith for a couple years. And so it's about prayer. It's about seeing miracles happen. It's about community coming around us and supporting these foreigners that were brand new in this new nation. And so I think I hope that it will encourage people in the areas of family, faith, marriage, parenting. I think there's themes that relate to everyone, and there's humor in it too that helps. I don't know, it's a very heartwarming film. I think people leave encouraged and wanting to love their families in a different way. So we hope that continues.
Well, thank you. And Kira Lee, it's not often that acting talents get a chance to take on a character of someone who's living. So share your journey of working with Rebecca, and maybe what you saw from her within your acting journey to portray her on screen.
Absolutely. It is so true that it's such an intriguing thing. I have played many real people before. I was once on like a history television show, but this is, I believe, the first time that I've played a real person that is still living and very much beloved. So that was a challenge. But similarly to what Rebecca was saying about feeling very safe because, her brother and her husband was there, I very much felt the same way because every step of the way I sort of had the Rebecca encyclopedias next to me because I was 10 feet away from all times from her brother, her husband, her father, sometimes her mom, her friends. So anytime I had a question, I felt so safe and I knew that I was so held that I could just trustful and they were always going to catch me and they weren't going to let me fail. And Rebecca was so kind and gracious on, we had our phone calls and our conversations to make sure that, I understood what was going on in here and up here. And it was just such an expansive journey for me. I feel like I've grown so much as a person, as an actor, as a singer, as a recording artist, as a writer. I mean, I feel like it's expanded so much of my whole world from having the blessing and the gift of getting to tell your story.
She did a phenomenal job. I'm so proud of her performance. She really did great. Yeah.
I love that. Well, Rebecca, you and I met back in 1997 in Boiling Springs, North Carolina.
Wow.
There was Jacob's Well Christian Music Festival.
Okay, that rings a bell.
I was working at a local news station and got a chance to interview you. And as I look at this film, one of the things that that had a flashback was seeing Rebecca take the stage at a music festival.
Yeah.
And Christian music festivals during that time were so huge. And I'd love for you to share your memories of why those festivals were so important to Christian artists during that time and why they're still important to get people out there.
Yeah, I mean, I have just countless memories of various festivals from all around the U.S., from age 16 through recently. And so it's just wild. I think there's something very magical about a festival because you've got these people coming from, oftentimes different parts of the nation, thousands and thousands of people, up to like 60,000 people. One time I felt like there was hundreds of thousands of people. In DC, it was a gathering, kind of a festival there. And it's this sense of community. It's this sense of kind of oneness as a body of people, a sense of because it's a Christian festival, sense of same heart. You hear, these thousands of people just singing to God. It's very powerful. And you just got this kind of sea or this ocean of people that, are in one purpose. So I think some of my favorite memories actually performing are in a situation like that. And you're outside under God's sky as well. So to have the final scene in Unsung Hero be this festival moment, one of my early memories of that in the mid-90s was really, really special.
Both for joining us right here on Meet Me at the Movies, and thanks for reminding us that there is a power of a song within all of us that is waiting to be freed and to echo for others. So thank you both for what you bring to this film.
Thank you. And thank you for remembering all those years ago and bringing that to my mind again. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
God bless you. Good to see you again. Thank you
so much.
Thanks for your time.
Kay tells me you're a promoter.
You know someone looking for one?
Well, I may know somebody who should be.
She's been given a beautiful voice. It's a miracle.
She's a special one, son. Your family, they're not in the way. They are the way.
Joel, Luke, hey, thank you both for joining us right here, sharing your family story in Unsung Hero. Had the chance just recently to speak to Rebecca, also Curly Berger, about this project, and I've got to say it's a joy to bring both of you on to meet me at the movies as well.
Thank you, buddy. Man, you made the rounds.
You
Well
have.
done, Noel.
You've done your work.
Hey, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
And our names are just one hop, skip, and a jump away from each other. Noel and Joel, which I love.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I tell you, I followed the Christian music industry for years, going back to my childhood. My mom worked in the music industry and radio, and so very familiar with it. Very familiar with Rebecca. Got a chance to meet her back in '97 at a music festival. Interviewed her when I was working in television then, and so I think anybody who's followed the Christian music industry, or even your work in for King and Country, may be familiar with parts of your story. But for you, at what point did you realize that it's really time to bring this story to the big screen? And this goes out to either one of you.
Yeah. Well, I think it was about 4 years ago when I made a phone call to a producer friend of mine in LA, and I just pitched him this story about our parents coming from Australia to America. We were young kids. When we landed, my dad had lost everything. Our dad had lost everything in Australia. Come to America under very, very difficult circumstances, and sleeping on beds made out of clothes, didn't have any way for our little sister to be born in a hospital, not always quite sure where the next meal was going to come from, didn't have a car. And obviously that story that I've told from stage for a lot of years is for King and Country, and had a lot of people come up and say, hey, man, you guys should write a book. I knew that it was resonating with people because of telling the story. And the truth is people said, hey, write a book, and Joel and I were homeschooled, so that just sounded very
really
hard, difficult to do, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, man, let's make a movie instead. And the heartbeat behind the movie is this: I believe in the power of family. I think that family is more important today than it ever has been in the history of the world, but we don't always value it the way that we should. And Mother Teresa, I think, sums it up best. And she says, if you want to change the world, which we all do, if you want to change the world, go home and love your family. And that's kind of what this film is all about.
So what did you find to be the most challenging and fulfilling in writing and directing this piece?
Well, I have to give a shout out to Richard L. Ramsey, because look, you got to have a little objectivity as to what the optics of this film from the outside looking in. It's like, hang on, you're the kids, and this is your parents' story, and you wrote the story. Like, is this really real? And I'm very proud to say, because of Richard's balanced approach, it's a very real, probably 90% of it, Noel, is exactly as it happened. And so it was really great to be able to play off him, because he sat down and did all the interviews with all the different family members. He collected all the fragments of the story. And then I got to come in and just sort of interject my own interpretation, my own, memory of, there's a lot of layers to it. But again, one of the things that we're most proud of is we believe in family. We believe in celebrating moms as unsung heroes. We believe in autobiographical true stories and putting them on the silver screen. And our hope is that people make a real family day of this thing and bring their family to the cinemas.
Yeah, well, thank you to Charlotte. You guys have always been so kind to us. And yes, unsunghero.movie.
We don't want the marketing people to shoot us.
To give us a little slap on the wrist.
Unsunghero.movie. See it tonight. If you believe in these films, see it this weekend and beyond. And thanks for being
Thanks for the time, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you for joining us right here at Meet Me at the Movies. Noel T. Manning II here, inviting you to come back next time as we spend more time talking cinema. Till next time, that is a wrap.